Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go three abreast. It is show time at Williams-Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got them for a rep. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again, it's Wing Nation presented by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. We are talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week. So glad that you have joined us and zooming our way through 2020. Erin Evernham and Steve Post. Erin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Did you see any of the sprint car races this weekend?
I did. You know, I actually stayed up the whole feature on Saturday, and I was so glad that I did, because that race was worth every bit of staying up. And then I had so much adrenaline I couldn't sleep for another hour or two after. I felt like I was in the car.
Yeah, I mean, that World of Outlaw feature, the end, and we'll show them to you here in a second, that World of Outlaw finish, and just the fact that it's Schatz and Larson, and really the podium was Brad Sweet. I mean, name one better than those three. Just going at it was unreal. Earlier in the lap traffic, when Sweet caught him, I thought, oh my God, yeah. You talk about the three biggest names in the sport as far as winning championships and everything goes. Phenomenal race. And it's like, then Tony Stewart's up there at West Jefferson, and he's like, well, watch this. And Austin McCarl and Aaron Reitzel, I mean, yeah. McCarl was just like, no, this one is mine. I mean, that was a phenomenal finish as well.
It was a great race. And to see Austin, I mean, I know he mainly runs Knoxville and has had a lot of success there, but that was a big stage, and he definitely stepped up to the plate. I mean, that was really good driving.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk to Austin coming up a little bit later on the program and ask him about those questions and those topics. I mean, it was just really, really neat. I think part of the fun was that Pennsylvania is back in action. The fabulous Lincoln Speedway had Chad Trout, and Chad's had a rough start to the year. He's just a great, great racer, but he turned his season around in a big way by picking up the win on Saturday night. And then the Pennsylvania Posse's drivers rolled into Snyder County up at Selinsgrove at the big old half mile up there. And this is a great story. We're going to talk to Kyle Rienhardt a little bit later on, too. Him winning this race is phenomenal after driving all night from Missouri back over to do it. I mean, this kid's got an amazing story, and that is a big win for him.
Yeah, it's a huge win for his confidence. And like you said, driving all night to be in Selinsgrove, it's just a great story.
It really is. I mean, in his story, his commitment to 410 sprint car racing in itself is absolutely amazing. Tommy Worley picked up the win at St. Francis County up in Farmington, Missouri. ASCS had some regional races. No real shockers with the first two winners of the regional races. Seth Bergman picked up the win Friday night at Creek County Speedway. You know where that is, Erin.
Sopopa,
Oklahoma. Yes, one of my favorite towns to say. I say it all the time. I wanted you to say it to get the joy out of saying it. Did you get as much joy out of saying it as I did?
That in Sheboygan.
See that? Told you. Sheboygan. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're not there yet. We're getting close though. To Wisconsin opening up, okay? Blake Hahn picked up the win in Oklahoma on Saturday night. But how about this? Down in Texas, the Lone Star region, Justin Sanders picked up the win. Now, we're used to talking about Justin Sanders picked up a win, but wait a minute. He's a California driver that drove to Texas to beat the ASCS Regional Tour down there. Big win for Justin Sanders. One of the great 360 races out in California, and, now one of the great 360 racers in Texas as well.
Yeah, it's neat to see. I mean, that's the one positive thing of all these crazy times. Of some of these drivers are like we see Dietrich out running with the All-Stars and Kyle Rienhardt driving across the country. Like, people are making some crazy trips, but it's giving us a chance to see them race against different people.
It really is. Some guys really stepping up their game in 410 and 360 racing. Now, we've joked around about this the last few weeks. Pete Walton put together his first of 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 or 16 speed weeks. His was a big weekend, and it started off just like normal, Mark Smith getting the win. But in breaking news, on Saturday night, Mark Smith did not get the win. It was Dale Howard picking up the victory. And on Sunday night, now this one, this was a heartbreaker for Mark Smith. Okay, he had it covered, was leading. I think there was 2 or less laps to go. He's coming off from turn number 4, and 2 lap cars right in front of him tangled, and he ended up flipping. So, Derek Hagar got the win. So, in breaking news, Mark Smith is human. We'll go with that as the headline of the one of the headlines of the week is that Mark Smith is human. From Mississippi and Pennsylvania. So
yeah, it broke his 10 races straight win. Was it 10?
I know. I mean, it was phenomenal, and it looked like, and I didn't watch the Riverside race, but it looked like he finished 6th, so he was obviously running at the end. Then in the Sunday night race, he had it covered, and it went toes up. We talked about Justin Sanders. Traveling from California to Texas, there was some racing. Maryville Speedway in California had racing, and big shocker here, Andy Forsberg picked up the win. When there's a 360 race in California, that's a pretty good bet. Yeah,
exactly. It's almost like the Mark Smith.
Yeah, I mean, and the move he made, was not of a 45-year-old veteran race car driver. They have more sense than making moves like he did. I mean, he bailed this thing in the outside of backstretch and into turn number 3, and it's like, who's that 18-year-old kid that doesn't know any better? Except for he has the savvy and the skills of a 45-year-old, so that when he got to turn number 3, he was able to take the lead. But Forsberg, he just amazes me with his savvy. Yeah, like anybody that's raced sprint cars for as long as he have, you've taken your tumbles, you've taken your hits, and none of that seems to cross his mind when he's out there racing, and that's why I just respect about Andy so much and love watching him do. That move he pulled in Marysville, oh my God, I'm like, I'm sitting there watching a replay, knowing the results 2 days later, and I clinched up, woo, man. Now, of course, I've never done it before, but pretty cool stuff. So great racing, and it's just good to have more than 1 or 2 races to talk about, Erin.
Yeah, I know. There was a lot this weekend. I was having trouble keeping up with all of it. That's a good problem.
It's a good problem to have. And the All-Stars are going to come to our help coming later this week when they go, they go like 9 of 11 nights or something. So we're going to be sprint car racing now. It's still not back to normal, and in some places I know they're hurting, but we're getting more and more, and that is for sure. And there you have it, our Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery hot topics. www.classicinkusa.com. That's classicinkusa.com. You can find out what drivers like Brian Brown and Danny Dietrich and Donnie Schatz and Sheldon Hodenshield and David Stremme and Ashley with Lethal Chassis, you can find out why they use Classic Ink. Because, Erin, the services they offer is second to none.
Absolutely. They have full custom driver apparel and crew options, full service embroidery department specializing in headwear and outerwear, an experienced design team, and they have a dedicated sales department.
Amazing stuff. www.classicinkusa.com. All right. Now, we have talked about those 2 finishes, the World of Outlaws and the All-Stars. Okay, we're going to start. We do the Dryden Death-defying move of the week, and we couldn't decide which was the Dryden Death-defying move of the week. So going back now, Craig, our producer, and I are both old radio guys. Okay, and in the radio world, when you play 2 back-to-back, it was a twin spin, and there were times when we'd have a Tuesday twin spin and everything. So today we're doing a twin spin, if you will. It starts in Jefferson Park. Starts there with Blake Anderson with a call on Flow with the All-Stars. And then we move south to Lake Ozark Speedway. Johnny Gibson with the call on Dervision. Here they are, our Dryden Diesel Death-defying moves of the week.
And now for the Dryden Death-defying Move of the Week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Does McCarl have one last move in his bag of tricks? He'll lead at the white flag. Buckle up tight. 1 to go. Reitzel goes to the high side. Reitzel takes the lead back up for turn number 2. What's he do? Does he come down? He takes the line from McCarl. McCarl to the back bumper. Austin McCarl to the inside. Moves him up the racetrack. It's a drag race to the line. Austin McCarl wins. Wow.
Back on the throttle. We are back under green flag conditions. Larson on the bottom. Donnie Schatz in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Schatz maybe a bit of a run down the backstretch. Schatz to the inside. Slide jump. Larson crosses back underneath it. They're side by side at the white flag. Schatz to the top in 3 and 4. Donnie Schatz leads down the back straightaway. Into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Schatz will hang on to get the win. Kyle Larson second. Brad Sweet in third.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Death, the official death of the world of outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Pride. Passion.
Performance. We are Team Dryden.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Hey, have you ever heard of the FPS 410 sprint car engine? Have you ever heard that? Well, if you haven't, you will. It's the result of a collaboration between Ford Performance, Tony Stewart Racing, and Durham Racing Engines. Tony Stewart used it in his team sprint car win the first time in mid-August last year, and weeks later, Tony Stewart Racing scored its first 410 World of Outlaw win with legendary driver Donnie Schatz getting the victory at Lakeside Speedway.
So what is the FPS 410's future? The goal is an engine that can challenge for victories in series across the country as part of a Ford Performance customer program. Now that sounds like a winner.
And speaking of winners, and speaking of Tony Stewart, Tony runs the Ollie's Bargain Outlet All-Star Circuit of Champions, okay? And on Saturday night at Park Jefferson, they had a thriller. You saw the highlight back just a little bit ago and listened to Blake Anderson with the call, and the guy that made that big, bold move into turn number 3 on the last lap and scored the victory, Austin McCarl, joins us here via Zoom. Hello, Austin. Welcome into Wing Nation.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, tell me about that last lap. Holy cow! What you had a couple big bold moves actually.
Yeah, I mean, I was rotating the bottom pretty well, and that's where my car was the best, and there was a bit of moisture down there, and Aaron was doing a really good job in traffic, trying to open it up and drive around us and find lanes, and he got around me there, I think, off of 4. I got back underneath him, and I just barely seen the white out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh man, it's showtime now. So I just tried to, run my race, and whatever happened. Traffic kind of worked my way a little bit there. He got a good run on the top of 1 and 2 and got down and kind of blocked me going into 3, which was the right decision. And I think he just got in there a little too hot and kind of got rolled up off the bottom and just gave me a little bit of an opening. And I just burped the throttle one time and got underneath him and just raced into the line.
That was going to be my question. It looked like, that last lap, Aaron didn't really leave you a lane. You kind of made a lane, but you did it respectfully. I mean, it was a great move, but that was my question. Like, how did you even know that opening would come about, or how did you make that opening?
I don't know, to be honest with you. It all happened so fast, and I kind of expected when I seen him come around me on the top, I knew that he would get down and try and block, and I just tried to make sure that I didn't miss the entry. And if any chance I had, I just couldn't miss the bottom and hope he does. And there was a lot of traffic right there, and guys in traffic were getting really tight. So, he just kind of barely left the door open, and they had tractor tires down there. And I just seen a little bit of an opening and just gassed it and got underneath them. And I think we made a little bit of contact with the right rear. But, I just racing hard, racing for the win. What would Aaron have done in that situation? I think he would have done the same thing. So I'm just happy it was a great race for the fans, and it obviously worked out in my favor.
That is awesome. That is really, really cool for sure. Hey, we've established a long time ago on this show that the next time I climb into a sprint car will be the first time. Okay. But so many times you guys talk about the air on the nose, the wing, what that does to the car. My question is, when Aaron comes down in front of you in the middle of the backstretch, how do you adapt to that? Because and I know you're in traffic, so I know it's kind of messed up a little bit, but how did you adapt, or did you have to adapt going into 3 right off his tail tank?
You just got to be ready for it. I mean, a lot of brake pedal, honestly, to get the thing turned. And, you just kind of got to know what's happening to make sure you get yourself turned and not get rolled up on the right front, like I said in a couple other interviews. Dirty air, like in the heat race, for example, when you're out in clean air, you can ring around there about as hard as you want to, and the car works. It's like, Aaron knows, it's crazy. It's crazy how different your car can get. And then you take a little bit of air off the wing, and a couple times, if you watch the highlight video, Tony chops me one time going into 1, and it takes the air off me, and I get rolled up out through the middle. So you just kind of make sure you get yourself turned and expect it, know what the car is going to do, and just try to do your best to avoid it, or just get yourself down and try and get yourself down into clean air and just keep enough clean air over the wing to hopefully keep the car rotating as nice as you can.
Yeah, it's certainly tricky, and not as easy as you're making it sound.
No, definitely not.
Tricky. Austin, you've had a lot of success at Knoxville, but what does it mean to you to go out and win with the All-Stars? I mean, that's a big stage. That seems like next level.
Oh, absolutely it is. It was huge for me. It was huge for my little team. It was just me, my brother, and Brandon Eichenberry helping out. So, no, it's huge. To me, the All-Stars are a long-time series, a great series, and, something I've watched growing up all the time. I mean, you're right. It's definitely next tier racing, and to beat Aaron's, one of the top 5 guys in the world right now, no doubt about it. And to beat him and the way we did was pretty exciting and fun, and a fun way to get your first All-Star win. But yeah, the All-Stars are a great sanctioning body of Tony Stewart, and, Kevin Rudeen's done a lot to help the All-Stars, and it's just a great series and a lot of really tough guys. I mean, there's definitely no slouches in that pit area. So to get a win and a win like that was huge.
Yeah, that field is impressive. What Tony's put together in that thing, and we talked to Blake Anderson last week, and a couple of years ago was Dale Blaney and some other guys. Now it's now it's like 8, 10, 12, and then there's 8 or 10 core guys, and then guys like you jumping into it as well, which is really, really neat. How is this getting back to racing? How has that been for you? I mean, obviously you pick up a win on Saturday night, but it's got to be for a McCarl that all you do is race. Okay, this lockdown had to be about the worst thing on the planet. How's it been getting back to racing, and does there seem like any sense of normalcy for you?
It's been good so far getting back to racing. It's been, my dad promoting that race at Park Jefferson a few weeks ago was definitely kind of interesting to see how that played out and how people reacted or didn't react and whatever. I'm glad we did it, and glad we got hopefully the ball rolling in that sense. And it's been, I didn't think Knoxville without fans would be that weird, but in the race car, when you're in the race car, it's the same racing people. But just for Knoxville, for example, that Outlaw show was really eerie and weird, having no fans and no atmosphere, and it was different for sure, and definitely like the fans being there. It's definitely what makes part of racing. So, but yeah, it's been good getting back slowly, kind of back to normal. The Outlaws promoting races, and Tony now with the All-Stars and everything kind of slowly opening up. It's been that first 2 months, March, April, when you're normally in California with the Outlaws, it's definitely weird. Everyone's sitting at home and just wondering what was next. Every day things were changing, and it seemed like things were getting worse one day, and then 2 days later things are coming back to normal. So it's definitely been weird, like it has for everybody. And, getting back to the racetrack is kind of like normal. And, once you're there, you're in a routine, and it's kind of like riding a bike. So, I'm just happy to be racing and happy to be back racing and happy to be back in Knoxville this weekend.
Yeah, and winning always helps that too.
Yes, absolutely it does.
Austin, seeing you win an all-star race, it makes me wonder, what are your hopes to do in the future? Do you like the run in Knoxville, running a bit of an outlaw schedule? Do you have aspirations to run full-time all-stars, do the outlaw thing? What would you personally like to do?
I just want to travel. I want to, to be able to do this for a living and to be able to beat, the outlaws. You got to race with the outlaws. So, and I think that's been one of the best things about this quarantine thing or COVID-19 has been for me, Knoxville being shut down. It's forced me to go race with the outlaws and go race other races that I want to race. I love Knoxville. Don't get me wrong. It's near and dear to my heart and a lot of family history there, but I want to go venture out. I'd love to race with the outlaws or the all-stars full time and just go travel, go see different places, different racetracks and different parts of the country. I mean, Knoxville kind of spoils you with lights and track prep and all the, the things around it, the aura and stuff. And that's not like that a lot of places throughout the country. So, I definitely have big aspirations to try and go all-star racing or outlaw racing or just traveling in general. For me, if you had the money, I think a true outlaw schedule would be the best way to go just because you can go hit and miss places. And it seems like the last couple of years with weather and stuff like that, that would probably be the best thing to do if you had the, the resources. But yeah, I would love to go travel and love to do it. And if the opportunity ever came up, I would definitely take advantage of it.
Listening to you, Austin, reminds me, I think there's two places in the world that put you drivers and team owners and people in a predicament. And in Knoxville there, because on Saturday night it's going to be great. And in Pennsylvania, we talk about guys that do you ever get off the porch? Well, why do I need to get off the porch?
Exactly.
Well, why do I need to leave Knoxville? I mean, it's pretty stinking good where it is. That's it. You Knoxville guys and Central Pennsylvania guys have a really unique situation there because it is so good at home.
Well, I think Central PA has a bit of an advantage on us just because they have 3 racetracks within 3 hours. We've just got Knoxville and, I grew up my whole life on Sunday mornings getting up and driving 5 hours to Sioux Falls at Houston Speedway, so. But the Central PA guys definitely, I mean, that's a nice porch they sit on racing. They got 3, 4, 5 racetracks all within 3.5, 4 hours of each other, and everyone's home every night. No hotel rooms. It's way easier on your guys and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of a catch-22. You want to go out and travel, but then again, Knoxville's 40 minutes from my front door and pays really well to win. And like I just said, they spoil you, and it's the great track prep and the lights and the facility and everything's obviously the best. So yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22, but I would love to go travel and love to go racing with those guys.
Austin, you mentioned being exciting about the Knoxville, I guess, regular season opener this weekend. Other than that, afterwards, are you going to try to hit any of these all-star races that are kind of out in the Midwest? Probably not too close, but not terribly far.
I definitely like to. I've only got 1 car and 1 motor right now, so it's everything's kind of up in the air. We're just playing everything week by week, and especially with everything kind of slowly opening back up, it seems like schedules are coming out and things. So I've had a lot of people ask me what my plans are, and I truthfully have no idea. I'd say Knoxville this weekend, and then after that, it seems to change every day. So it's everything's just kind of up in the air right now.
Well, it is interesting times, that's for sure, and I think everything is changing every day, and that continues to be the case. But what doesn't change is you guys wheeling those cars and putting on a show for us fans, and we really absolutely love it. So congratulations again, Austin, on the win, and thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation. Always a pleasure to chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's good to win because every time I know I'm probably going to get that text about Wing Nation, it's one of the best things about winning. So thanks for having me on, guys. Love talking to you.
There we go. The Craig Moore text, what everyone is looking for in the world of sprint car racing. Austin McCarl, winner of Saturday night's Ollie's Bargain Outlet All-Star Circuit of Champions wins up in South Dakota. Stay with us. When we come back, another great story, Kyle Rienhardt. He joins us to talk about his win in Pennsylvania.
Hey, Ashley, what are you up to?
Oh, I just stopped by to grab some sage fruit apples. Now I just have to decide which ones.
You can never go wrong with a Honeycrisp. They're light, crisp, and full of perfectly balanced flavor.
Oh, hey!
You could always go with one of their classics, the Gala or Fuji. They're both sweet and juicy.
Grown in the heart of Eastern Washington, Sage Fruit Company works hard on the farm and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears to consumers all year long.
Well, I couldn't decide which ones. Thanks for the help, guys.
I'll race you to checkout.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, We have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation presented by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength, having a ball, and a guy that, and I'll qualify this saying we're recording this show on Monday, so we're doing it midday, and so the most exhausted sprint car driver in America, but maybe one of the happiest ones, Kyle Rienhardt, joins us after that win at Selinsgrove on Sunday night. Hello, Kyle. Welcome into Wing Nation.
That's quite a title, but I'll take it for now. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. How did you survive the weekend? We'll talk about the win, and we'll talk a little bit about Missouri. But just doing that, that's big time sprint car racing there, and I know that's what you wanted to do. Was there a time during the weekend where you thought, well, this might not have been the best idea?
About 6:30 in the morning when we were driving still, I was like, man, what are we doing here? But, we knew we'd be fast at Selinsgrove. We've always been fast there. I've had a lot of luck there. So we knew we wanted to make it back.
Kyle, I wasn't able to catch the race, but reading everything afterwards, it sounded like you and Freddie had a pretty good battle. But in the article that I read, it sounded like each restart you learned a little bit and finally put it all together and was able to get by Freddie. Describe a little bit of that for us.
Yeah, the start, he started on the pole. I was second. I didn't really get a great initial start. I was hoping to get a better start on him, but he kind of took the lead and got a couple car lengths. And we only went about 3 or 4 laps before the first yellow. And, he wasn't really driving away from me, so I knew I had a shot still. But clean air and sprint car racing is huge. Everybody knows that. So we had a restart there, and I knew I wasn't going to let him get away. When you have a guy like Freddie, they're so good at all these PA tracks. It's like you can't let him get away. You got to do everything you can. So we had the first restart, and I didn't get as good of a restart as I wanted, but I knew I had to try it. So I kind of threw a slider, and it was a little short, but I don't think it was a bad move. I needed him to know that I was trying to pass him, and try and shake him up a little bit. And we got another restart right after that. And luckily he kind of took the bait and went down a little bit, and I kind of went up top, and I was able to get a run down the backstretch and then pass him in 3.
Good stuff. Wow, really, really cool stuff. You mentioned you knew you would be good at Selinsgrove, and is the comfort level you have there because you have so many laps there with the 360 program with URC? You've ran there a lot. Is that part of what brings that confidence that you drove all night long to get to Selinsgrove for?
Yeah, no doubt. We have a good notebook for there. Every time we ran the 410 there last year, we were fast. And I think, like you just said, it's a confidence thing. We were out with the Outlaws all week for 2 weekends, and it's hard to have a lot of confidence when you're racing with those guys at places you've never been. You go out there and you just get beat up, and then you go on to the next night. But coming home, we knew we'd have a good car, and I know the place very well, so I had a lot of confidence.
Kyle, you talked about racing with the Outlaws and how it's hard to keep your confidence because they're just so good, and there's so many cars that are so good. But it does seem when drivers they go out and run with the Outlaws for a few weekends or race here and there, and then they come back home, you're that much better. Because even though you think your confidence wasn't great when you're racing with them, when you come home, you realize, you were racing at a much, maybe higher level or just a competitive level. I would assume that certainly helped coming back after racing with those guys and making the feature at Lake Ozark and then coming home to Selinsgrove.
Well, sure. I think, you look at the guys you're racing against, even though we finished 19th on Saturday night, you just look at the guys you're racing with, and every one of those guys has a bad night. There's guys that win outlaw races that were behind us. Even the nights we didn't qualify, there were guys that win outlaw races that were behind us in the B main. So I think we went out there with just realistic expectations. We knew we weren't going to go out there and just beat those guys. Anything can happen, so you got to be ready for that. But realistically, we were going out there to try to make the shows and just take it step by step. I think we did that. We finally made the show Saturday night. That picked our confidence up a little bit. And then just coming home, it's just a totally different ball game. We're comfortable at the places we're racing at, comfortable with the people we're racing against, and you just know a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's got to be the fact the volume of races mean, it's still a short season we've gotten to, but you getting on the road where some of these guys, maybe Selinsgrove was the second or third night out, at least since the COVID virus. They might have ran early on there, but there's got to be an advantage to having 4 or 5 nights under your belts to their 1 or 2 nights possibly. Is that the case too?
Yeah, I agree. I think just anytime you can make laps, you're just that much better, and I've been talking about that for like 3 years because I've never raced as much as the guys I'm racing against. So we decided to go out there and try and race. And like I said, we knew what we were getting into, but it's about just making laps. So luckily we had a couple people chip in to get us out there. The Chiapellis with Golden Flavor Sesame Sticks, Boiling Spring Service Center in Mechanicsburg, and Golf Cart Services all kind of chipped in to get us out there just because they knew as well as we knew it'd make me better, and make our program better. So we go out there and just make laps. And like you said, I had 2 races on the weekend already before yesterday. So, we got out in hot laps and I was fresh and ready to go. So I think it helps a lot. Yeah, you can't put a price tag on that seat time. Kyle, if everything goes as planned, which who knows what that even means right now, is the plan, do you have any ideas to go back and race with some of that in the Midwest? Are you going to try to stick around if more tracks are opening in PA? What do you guys, or is it a day-by-day thing? I think it's day by day, week by week. We just want to race, so it's kind of hard to drive 15, 20 hours when you can race an hour from home. And that's kind of what led us to go to Missouri in the first place. When we left, there was no racing here, and unfortunately, like the day after we left, they're like, oh, we're going to start racing. We're going to start racing at Lincoln. We're like, crap. But, we committed to the trip. So we just stuck with the plan and went with it. But like I said, it's hard to drive, 15, 20 hours when we're on a budget. We don't have a unlimited outlaw budget or whatever. So we try and make the best bang for the buck. And at the end of the day, we can win races here at home. So eventually down the road, I think when we get to that level, of just our equipment, our team, my personally, everybody involved, once we get to that level, we definitely like to go on the road. But time frame, who really knows what that's going to be like, so especially now with who knows what races are coming up next week, it's like every week it changes. So we're just taking it week by week.
Yeah. In theory, as we sit here recording this on Monday, you actually have a 3-race weekend up in Pennsylvania with BAPS on Thursday night and Selinsgrove on Friday and Lincoln on Saturday. So I agree. It's kind of tough, especially with that Selinsgrove in the middle of it. That'd be tough to drive away from that. Yeah, for sure. And I didn't even know about it until last night after the races. Everyone's like, coming next weekend? I'm like, for what? And they said, I guess they announced during the night that we're going to have a race on Friday. So it's such a fluid situation. Everything's changing literally by the hour. We were racing, and I knew there was a race at BAPS on Thursday. And then, within an hour it changed and there's another race that popped up. So like we just talked about, everything's changing so quick. So you got to be ready for anything. Crazy. How frustrating is that as a driver or, team managing a team? I mean, I used to hate when races got rain delayed or postponed. This is a whole different ballgame. This is a lot worse. I mean, that's got to be, like you said, you're on a budget. You're trying to manage everything. How confusing is that? It's definitely confusing, but with us missing like 2 months already, it's kind of a blessing. We just jump in a race whenever we can. So, it is a little confusing and it's hard to get guys lined up, because everybody has a job. I don't have a job right now, but so I can do everything during the week, but I can't, do everything by myself at the track. That's impossible. But so that's a little confusing to get people lined up, but we're going to race anytime we can, as long as our equipment holds up and the money stays, the budget stays okay. So, but it's good for now, just races popping up is good. Yeah, that Capital Renegades team certainly looks good. I know you're a small team as far as size and shape. I actually watched Jeremy Elliott's Sprint Car Unlimited interview with you back a week or two ago. Pretty neat stuff to see your little race shop there, but going toe to toe with the best in the business for sure. Kyle, I want to before we get out of here, I want to touch on your story because and fill in the details. You're living in New Jersey. You've got a decent job, I guess. and you realize you want to be a full-time sprint car racer and love URC, but nobody's going to make a career out of doing that. Describe where you were at and the decision process to get to where you're at now.
Yeah, at the time I was 24, just turning 25 in a couple months. I was living at home with my parents, working towards New York City, which is like an hour and a half north from my house, and which my house is way farther than that than any sprint car track. So I was racing for the Quackenbushes kind of part-time. Things really weren't going that great. They're 4.5 hours from me, so I couldn't like help them on the car when I had a job, and there was just a lot going on, and it just wasn't working out on both ends. That to race a sprint car is a lot of work, and the Quackenbushes, they want to do some other things too. So it kind of just came to a head. Things weren't really working out, and my job was getting a lot more serious. I was working for a mechanical engineer went to school and got my degree and stuff. And I was working for an aerospace company in North Jersey, right by New York City. And actually the launch on Saturday, we actually worked on some stuff for that launch like years ago, because everything takes so long. So I actually worked on valves that were on the Crew Dragon capsule. So that was pretty cool. But so that was getting more serious. I was traveling a lot for that. And it just kind of came to a head. We were like, do you want to race, or am I going to work for the rest of my life? And I don't have a problem working. I've worked since I was in 8th grade, but it was kind of hard to give up that dream of racing, So the Quackenbushes, we all sat down and my family and everybody, and we were just like, if you're going to do it, you got to try it, So it really hit me when my mom was like, go for it. She's always been like school, this, that, and everything. And she was like, go for it. Why not? So I was like, screw it, I'm going to try it. So, I talked to some people out here, and until I got in that shop that you guys saw, I was renting, shop out of Poncho's down the road. We were using their race shop to race our cars out of. So it's been a cluster, but yeah, one day I just said, all right, I'm going to go for it. And I put my notice in at work, and it was like, I gave my 2-week notice, and then they asked me to stay for 3 weeks. So I stayed for like 3.5 weeks, got whatever I needed to get done. And then the next day I packed my bags and came out here to PA.
Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. Mom, I'm telling you, this is your interview, but I was doing all this radio stuff up in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I had I got to go tell Mom I want to move to North Carolina and chase this dream. And I'm like, this is not going to go good. I sat down at the table, I described what I wanted to do, and she said, I've wondered why you haven't done this before. And it's like, well,
yeah.
So Mom's blessing is a good thing for sure.
Definitely. Just knowing, I can go, if it doesn't work out, I can go back home. So Nothing really to lose,
Yeah. Lots to gain, though, like wins like you had Sunday night at Selinsgrove. Kyle, always a pleasure to catch up with you. It's fun talking to you on Zoom after a win and not passing on the bleachers at the Chili Bowl like we always do. We sit in the same row at the Chili Bowl, so we see each other all the time in January and see each other at the racetrack every once in a while. But
usually with a beer in hand, though.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you've got a couple beers in hands climbing over me with a couple beers in hands leaning back. So. Yeah, we got to make sure you stay hydrated. Hydration is very important in Tulsa. That is for sure. So good stuff. Hey, congratulations again on the win. Thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Love the Kyle Rienhardt story. Of course, I feel like an idiot sitting here on this show with engineer Erin Evernham and engineer Kyle Rienhardt, and then it's radio guy over here. But smart people, smart things, smart items. And just like racing components, Aggressive Hydraulics, they build smart hydraulic cylinders to perform for customer-specific applications. And I think that's the neat part about it. It is very, very detailed and very engineering-oriented, as Kyle talked about with his NASA launch, and Erin, you've talked about with your background as well. They design and manufacture mobile-style single-stage cylinders as well as multi-stage telescopic cylinders, and Erin, no one size fits all. That's the approach at Aggressive Hydraulics.
That's right. They have hydraulic solutions for virtually every industry that uses hydraulic cylinders. They proudly design and manufacture all cylinders in the United States. You can check out their video of their story at aggressivehydraulics.com. And they're a proud sponsor of Ryan Newman at the Chili Bowl and all his short track endeavors.
And with that, we'll step away. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain. And we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Pride.
Passion. Performance. We are Team Dryden.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. And more races coming on board. We talked about it a little earlier on the program. The ASCS regional tours are up and running, and can't wait for that national tour to get up and going as well. Longtime point leader Harley White continues to be the leader of the national tour. And can't wait to see when, where, and how they get going. As we've talked about over the course of time, everyone's dealing with so many struggles, and multiple states is a big challenge for Emma and everybody there. But you can find out more at ascsracing.com. That's www.ascsracing.com. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Now, we always talk about the birthday calendar. Coming up later this week is Norman Buddy Jones and Sherman Red Campbell, okay? And today, Erin, is the birthday of some guy named Steve Kinser. You ever heard of him?
My hero. He's my hero.
Your hero for sure.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to go back to the Kyle Rienhardt story. Okay, Kyle, because you were sharing with me during the break, Steve had some similar advice to what Kyle Rienhardt was getting, right?
Yeah. When I first started racing sprint cars, I had the opportunity to talk to Steve, which is another story in itself. I was so flustered and overwhelmed that he was even talking to me. But he said, if you ever want to make it as a full-time racer, you can't have a job, a real job. And I was like, all right, well, how do you pay for racing? He was like, well, you need to be hungry enough to dedicate your life and to start winning races and just be totally focused on it. But that was part of my testimonial when I went back to my mom, like, hey, look, Steve Kinser said, granted, my mom doesn't know much about racing and I don't even know if she knew who Steve Kinser was, but to me, it was the big deal. And I always remember that bit of advice. Well,
it seems to be working for Kyle Rienhardt, that's for sure. And I'm sure there's hunger there, but I'll tell you what, the story he's leading. And then we didn't even touch on this, Erin. Kyle Rienhardt, he broke his back last year, so was on the sidelines during the off season with that. So, we talk about talk about hungry, but okay, So today is Steve Kinser's birthday, but today also would have been the birthday of 1994 inductee Don Branson, okay? Born in 1920, and he started racing midget cars at the young age of 26. That was a different world and a different time, that's for sure. He started in Macon, Illinois. In the early 1950s, he jumped into the big cars, and he started to have some pretty good success. As a matter of fact, he finished in 1960, I think it was. He finished fourth in Indianapolis. He was second in the Midwest points behind some guy named A.J. Foyt, second in the Eastern. Well, A.J. won the Eastern Point Championship. Some guy by the name of Parnelli Jones won the Midwestern one, and Don was second in points. And in 1964, he won the National Sprint Car title. He was racing in 1966. And rolling along, and had told some of his friends that it was his last season as a driver. And tragically, as so much in our history that is documented over in turn number 2 at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, it was his last season, because with just a few races remaining in what appeared to be his career at Ascot, he lost his life in a sprint car crash. So while lives were lost in that manner, their story lives on forever at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, turn number 2. So that's why the museum is so important, and so much respect for guys like Steve Kinzer, who's having his birthday today. So happy birthday to the King. But then to guys like Don Branson, who ultimately gave everything for the sport of sprint car racing. And that's the beauty of that little piece of property over in turn number 2 at Knoxville. So great stuff, and always enjoy talking about our Hall of Famers. And of course, they've got the Priority Aviation deal going on, Erin. Somebody's going to make some money to go to the Knoxville Nationals.
They sure are. And they are back this year with a twist. It's not only $20,000 to win, but now there's $10,000 for the second and $5,000 for the third place finisher.
That's cool. SprintCarHallOfFame.com. That's SprintCarHOF.com, or you can get stuff at their gear store at Sprint Car Stuff. And they've got a Corvette they're giving away. They've got the race car. I mean, they've got all kinds of stuff there. So make sure you follow along and support our friends at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. And I know fans this weekend are anxious. They're going to get a look with the racing starting in Knoxville. Also going to get a look at that Greg Hodnett display in the Hall of Fame that'll be there all summer long. And with that, that's going to put a wrap on it. One theme, though, came to mind, Erin, in listening to Austin and listening to Kyle. And the theme that I noticed both of them said was this COVID shutdown was an opportunity to get on the road and do something different. And I find that fascinating that in both cases, yes, it was, and it turns out both of them were able to put off big wins this past weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hearing it from a lot of people. You know, Mark Smith is living in Mississippi now, and Danny Dietrich's running with the All-Stars. And it's giving these guys a chance to run with different competitors and see different tracks. And just like Kyle talked about, that seat time and that experience is invaluable. Yeah, especially when you're in Knoxville like Austin is, where you've got a great Saturday night track, or you're in Pennsylvania where Kyle is. So it's neat stuff, that's for sure. And really good part of our Wing Nation program. So we had a ball. We're back on Thursday. We're going to talk Dirt Vision with Brian Dunlap. And coming up on Saturday on our MAV TV show, we're going to put a little sunshine in your Saturday morning because, I don't know, that USAC midget now World of Outlaw, whatever, wing, non-wing, whatever, this Tyler Courtney's going to join Ashley and I on our Wing Nation program presented by Stage Food on MAV TV. So going to be good stuff. So for Erin Evernham, I'm Steve Post. Thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires.
Wing Nation has been brought to you by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. Watch Wing Nation Saturday mornings on MAV TV. You can also find Wing Nation on wingnation.com or your favorite podcast provider. Wing Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.